It's hard to find good labor and good help. Another thing on labor is, you know, if you're covering that ground every 3 to 5 days, you're going to have somebody sitting in the tractor for you. You know, finding somebody good that can run equipment, that knows how to use it. But we put some numbers to this, I think, last year. Brian can attest to this. We did some figures, and we could pay somebody $50 an hour to run a cultivator.
They want to know where their food comes from. They are driving the non-GMO train. They're driving the organic idea. They want to know this stuff. It's important to them. And you're not going to be able to ignore it. There's a huge segment of the population. And this is one of the things that the VISPS program does really, really well. They are looking forward to the future and looking at these consumer demands that are starting to gain traction and gaining traction right now. Organic, natural, non-GMO, and they're driving these products and your production to this future consumer.
I want to say that this market is just growing tremendously. In 1997, there was $3.4 billion of organic food sold in the United States. In 2017, there was $45 billion of organic food sales in the United States. So, you know, that's just tremendous growth opportunities, and it's still growing. To meet our demand right now in the United States, we need 600,000 more organic acres harvested. I get a lot of questions, well, is this peaking out? When everybody gets in, is the market going to go away? Well, we're having to rely on imports right now, which to help meet that demand, and there's huge concerns, fraud, and rightfully so. That's one of the big benefits to the VISPS program is on the tracking and traceability. Our new policy for this year at Majestic Mill, we will not be buying any non-GMO grain that is not verified by third party. The broiler business is really taking off. It's taken off in Texas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma, and now is set for a major expansion in southwest Missouri and north Arkansas. That's some exciting news for non-GMO and organic corn and soybean growers. You're going to see a local demand spike this year with, I would anticipate 80 to 100,000 broilers being processed weekly in our market area within the next 6 months.
Sellers of corn, everything you sell is probably marked by the futures Chicago Board of Trade, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So pretty much that's what sets your futures price, and then your premiums and your basis work off of that. True? Where he wants to buy it is cheap, and where you want to sell it is high, correct? That's true. That's always going to be true. But he can use the Board of Trade to protect that price, and you can use the Board of Trade to protect your selling price. That's what the Board of Trade does. China's corn use is growing at a faster rate than any other country in the world. Just look at the chart here, moving exponentially. Part of that is ethanol expansion in China. Perhaps what they really need in China is not our soybeans, but maybe what they're going to really need is the corn. You can see here the bean picture is not all that friendly if you compare it to the corn that I just showed you. Who else is growing crops around the world right now? Very little is where I was headed with that. Thank you. Very little. If you think about the southern hemisphere and the populations in the southern hemisphere relative to the northern hemisphere, those are drastically different, aren't they? And so the stock market is beginning to rally here, and it's probably going to continue to rally because bad news might actually be good news. What happens if the dollar falls? All things being equal, your products become what? Cheaper to our foreign buyers. Our results improve as data inputs meet extremes. So if my commercial money flow indicator says it's time to sell or buy, my daily chart says it's time to sell or buy, the crop cycle time of year is correct. What's one thing that would matter to you if those are all saying yes, yes, yes? Price, right? Price has got to make sense too. And so if the price is profitable to you or profitable to hedge as the buyer, then we think that that makes a big difference.
So some of the basic ownership rights that we enjoy, basically peaceable possession of your land. You get the right to enjoy it. You get the right to deplete it if you want to, mine it. You get to do what you want. You have the right to the support of the surface. So in other words, the guy next to you can't excavate right to the line so that your side falls over. You have the right to subsurface support. Somebody can't tunnel underneath you so that the surface falls down. You also have the right to prevent people from interfering with the use of that airspace. And that's where this notion of drift comes along, right? Drift, volatility, stuff that comes through the air onto your land or through your space. Bad odors, loud noise, smoke. Drift, pesticide drift, regardless of what it may be, falls within this category. Now, I want to qualify this discussion a little bit. The law and the remedies that are available to you will differ by state. Not every state is going to recognize pesticide drift as a nuisance, but it may recognize negligence, or it may recognize trespass. We've never seen the amount of dicamba getting ready to be applied, and has been applied, ever. Granted, dicamba has been around for a very long time. It's been used successfully for a very long time, but not at these levels, not on this number of acres. And I think it's been fairly well documented at this point. It will move. It will move even when the applicator does every single thing right. That's one of the reasons causation is so difficult. Do you always see the application being made? Matter of fact, do you see it even the majority of the time? Do you even know what's going on? Do you know what's being applied? If something happens, call your extension agent. Get some help identifying the symptomology. Call the Department of Ag. They've got to come out. Let them do their investigation. Get a hold of a crop consultant. Collect samples. Most importantly, collect some samples. You're probably going to need to do some lab testing.